are we doing? It's week 2 of the League One match review for the week. What am I talking about? Basically, we'll be going through every single game in League One that's happened this weekend, and I'll be giving my thoughts on it. Starting off with my beloved Sheffield Wednesday at home against Bradford on Thursday night. Terrible game. First 20 minutes, I'll only touch on it briefly because I've got a whole video talking about my review on this game. First 20 minutes we were really good, really impressed. First half, really, I was really impressed with us. Thought we played really well. Graham Alexander changed something at half time. They took control of the game, got the early goal in the second half, and you know, when you're at that point and you're chasing the game, especially as you know we're at Hillsborough, there's 33,000 there. You expect to at least have a few, like quite a lot of shots in the second half, considering you're trailing from the 52nd minute, from the 48th minute. Sorry, we didn't. We had 3 shots in the whole of the second half while we was trailing in that half. Absolutely terrible performance. They kept hitting us on the transition over and over again. You'd expect Bradford to sit back and sit in a low block. They didn't have to. They didn't have to because we weren't threatening them in any way, shape or form. So they didn't have to sit in a low block. So yeah, that's a brilliant start. Bradford, I was really impressed with them. I thought they were really, really good. I've been really impressed with them so far, to be honest. They got that good win over Peterborough the other week, and now they sit top of the table, relatively happy with 2 wins from 2. Coincidentally, the only team in the division with 2 wins from 2 as well. So fair play to Bradford. I've got a lot of positive things to say about them because I think as a whole the fans were really good. They were a good club and I do like them. Moving on to the first early kick-off, and it was Doncaster and Barnsley, a full Yorkshire derby. Terrible game. Absolutely terrible. I was looking forward to this, to be honest. We're really looking forward to it. I lobbed it on while I was just doing some uni work. It was such a shit game. It was so shit. I thought, Doncaster I thought Doncaster were the better team. You know, we saw the high press style of Daniel Stendhal again, which obviously we're expecting to see. I think it is going to be a slow start for Barnsley, though, ultimately this season. Now, I know a lot of the fans know Daniel Stendhal, and obviously they've had an experience with him before, but a lot of the players haven't. So it's going to take time to get to basic, to get to where he wants the players to be, and that's totally fine. I think this is probably a better point for Donny than it is for Barnsley. It sounds stupid, but I think where Donny will be and where Barnsley are looking to be come the end of the season, I think it's probably a better point for Donny. But I have a lot of respect for both sides. To be fair, looking at the stats, Donny did actually dominate the game. I just thought it were a shit game, to be honest. I thought it were a shit game. But yeah, I think, with them not starting Cleary as well, Barnsley, I don't know if that's going to be Cleary going. Now, I'm not sure. I think that probably would be a better thing for the football club, if I'm being truthfully honest, because in my opinion, the squad and the team that started this game, and I said it in the last round as well, round of matches, the team that started for Barnsley, it's not a Daniel Stendhal type team where it's like very, very, very fit, very high intensity. Like, I just don't get that vibe from this team. I think selling Cleary for the rumoured £3 to £5 million and then investing the rest of that money into the squad will probably be a better idea. I think they had a better performance last week against Bromley, but I think there is some signs there. When I was watching them, there was some patterns of play I was looking at and thinking they could be all right this season. I think they'll be fine, to be honest, Barnsley. Same with Doncaster. I think they'll stay up. They've got a bagsman in Alfie May as well, who will obviously get quite a few goals at this level. Now, because it got to like half an hour in that game, the Barnsley and Doncaster one, I turned it over. I couldn't be arsed. Shit. It was just shit. So I put Luton and Notts County on. And it didn't disappoint. Yeah, I'm really impressed with Luton so far. The comeback win against Reading last week was brilliant. Obviously, Casey Palmer scoring a few goals in that game. Who's obviously turned out to be a really good signing. I think he'll continue to be a really good signing for Luton Town this year. They've got some really, really good players for the level. Nicky Wells I really like as well for the level. I think he's probably Championship is just a step above of his career right now, but I think League One he can still score a lot of goals. Notts County came with a game plan. It were almost same as Graham Alexander and Bradford City, to be fair, and they executed it to a T. Obviously getting that goal just before half-time, which sort of knocked the stuffing out of Luton, and they actually started the second half the better side for the first 5 minutes, Notts County, after the break, and then Luton sort of got back into the game until this point here. But yeah, I thought it were a really interesting game from both sides. I think both teams played to their relative game plan really, really well. Like I said, I'm really excited by Luton Town this season. I think that they can go really far. I know a lot of people have put them as the league winners, and I think they'll be in and around that position, top of the league, to be honest, if not second or third, in my opinion. Notts County, though, Martin Patterson again. I think they were unlucky last week to get the draw against Leicester. I think they probably should have won that game, if I'm being truthful. I think they deserved it. I thought they were the better side, and got unlucky to get that draw. But 2 draws from 2 games for a newly promoted side is not bad at all, and I think 2 really good performances. 2 contrasting performances, actually, as well, in terms of the type of performance from each game. But I'm really impressed by Notts County. I'm really impressed by Martin Patterson, because I watched him when he was in League One before. Was it with Burton Albion? And I wasn't a fan of him. I thought he was a bit of a whopper, but he's doing a good job with Notts County, and you got to respect it. Moving on to Reading and Wimbledon, we're just going to skip over this one. The bog standard League One game. This 2 sides that are probably about. I think Wimbledon again. Listen, I think there's only so much you can say about a game that's finished 0-0. But in my opinion, I think Wimbledon will probably be down there this season. And that's not just from this game. But, you go 90 minutes and you have 4 total shots in this division against Reading, right? Which, listen, no disrespect to Reading, because I really like the club. I've got so much respect for the club because of what they helped us through with Chansiri. Really like Reading as a football club, but I think they're in a transition period now. They've brought in some really good signings, but I think they're in a transition period now, and they've got a manager that I'm not really a massive fan of in Liam Richardson. I think he's a bit shit. But I think when you're having 4 shots while you're at home against a team that, like I said, no disrespect, will probably be around mid-table-ish, I think that's seriously worrying. And I think, to be honest, though, it will be a better point for Wimbledon, because looking again at the match facts, the momentum graph, the stats and stuff like that, not that I'm much of a stats man, but look at all them things combined, and they show a picture, really, that Reading did dominate the game. But Wimbledon, like I said, would probably be the happiest of the 2 to go ahead and get a point there. Also, I don't know if you can hear my chair squeaking. If you can, I really do apologise. And then moving on, Bromley and Cambridge. Again, Bromley, coming off the back of a really, really good win last week against Barnsley. At a tough place like Oakwell, I think they'll be over the moon with another point. I mean, albeit, they rescued the point in the 80th minute with another goal from Victor Odobiajo. I think, again, that's going to prove to be a really, really good signing for them. He's got experience at the level. He can score goals at the level. I think he played for Bolton, didn't he, that I mentioned last week. So he can score goals, and he has gone on and done that. Cambridge, again, I think both these sides, in my opinion, will be in and around the relegation zone. I do like Cambridge again. I like Neil Harris. I think he's a very good manager. But I just think that both sides just don't really have the quality to. I think with the way both sides have started, I think they'll be pushing towards staying up, but I think they'll still be in and around the relegation zone come the end of the season. Again, it's a typical Neil Harris performance. I think the versus Burton Albion, Leicester again. I'm running out of things to say about Russell Martin football. I am. I saw a lot of the tweets on Twitter, and I think people can sit there and blame the manager. I think rightly so, because I think it is pathetic, to be honest, the obsession he's got with the type of football he wants to play, 74% possession. I think regardless, whenever you come up against a Russell Martin side, teams are going to hit that team on the counter, and they're going to hit them on transitions. And I think Leicester will be coming up against that every single week this year. And the reason why is just simply because of the way that they play under Russell Martin. And it's just his style of football. He just has an obsession with passing the ball left, sideways and backwards, and just holding the ball for no need. There's literally no reason to recycle the ball over and over again. there's no need to whatsoever. But it's just the way he plays. We saw it at Southampton, we saw it at Swansea, MK Dons, Rangers. Like, I just don't understand the obsession with it. But, the red card as well, I think that killed all sort of momentum that Leicester was looking to gain after conceding the 2 quick-fire goals, really. Being 2-0 down at home to Burton Albion again, who I think will be in and around the relegation zone. I like Gary Bowyer as a manager. I think he's done an unbelievable job at Burton Albion so far. But I think when you go 2-0 down to a Burton Albion, or if, let's say, Bromley came to Leicester and they were 2-0 up against them, teams are going to put 11 men behind the ball, and I think they're just going to keep hitting them on the transition. And again, it's almost sort of a similar graph to when Wednesday played Bradford on Thursday, where Wednesday had the lion's share of possession. But you just take a look at the stat side of things, and sure, they had more shots in the second half. Yeah, of course they did. Burton Albion, they was hanging on. But they managed to frustrate Leicester, and that's what they've managed to do. But in the first half, to be at home at your first home game and dominate the ball, but only have 6 shots with 2 on target and have 2 touches in an opposition box is nothing short of embarrassing. And I don't think the problem all lies with Russell Martin, because we've seen it so many times before. Russell Martin didn't get them relegated to the Championship. Russell Martin didn't get them relegated to League One. But what Russell Martin has done is cause this obsession with ball possession, and it's starting to fuck them up. It fucked them up last week against Notts County. Their teams are going to get results against Leicester if they carry on playing like this, because it's just obscene the amount of time they waste just recycling the ball over and over again. Like, I just can't understand how people find that type of football attractive. I don't, personally, but if you do, each to your own. Moving on to MK Dons 1, Huddersfield Town 1. Going to MK Dons away is not an easy game. I don't know why it took me so long to get that out. I do apologise. Yeah, I think it's one of the toughest games in the division, MK Dons. It sounds stupid, but I think MK Dons will be really strong at home. It is a big pitch, and listen, we're not going to mention the crowds because the stadium is way too big for them, let's be honest. But also, it should almost feel like a home game for Huddersfield, because I'm sure they got the full back stand. So really, it should be one of the most enjoyable as well for a Huddersfield Town fan, because you've got 7,000 behind the goal or whatever it is. But yeah, I think, looking at the way the game's gone, I think Huddersfield will be disappointed that they didn't end up getting the win in this game. But I think it's another positive and another point for Paul Warne's side, where, they have come up. But I think also, you've got to look at the squad that they've got, and it's a really, really decent squad for the division. I don't think they'll be in the playoffs or pushing promotion this season, but I think that with some improvements, they definitely could within a year or two. Huddersfield, again, sat in second place. Martin Drury got off to a good start last week with that win over Wimbledon, I think it was. 3-0 win over Wimbledon. Yeah, I don't really know much about Martin Drury, to be fair. I've not really seen any of his stuff. Obviously, I watched the highlights from this game, and I watched the highlights from last week against Wimbledon as well. And you look like you're playing good football. So, again, full respect to Huddersfield. I think you'll probably be in and around there next season, as you deserve to be, because you've had a rough few years. Moving on to Peterborough United 2, Mansfield Town 1. Right. Now, this one, I was really surprised to see this result, because it's almost a similar story to last week when Peterborough played Bradford. I just want to take a look at the lineups quickly and have a look at the average age of each side. This is I think this is Mansfield. Yeah, it is. You look at the average ages again, and I don't mean to go back onto this, because I don't think you can do well in League One with a very young team. And again, I don't mean to go back to Wednesday, but we've got an average age of 23 now, and that's the youngest squad we've had in a very long time. And I think you can sort of see it. They play with no fear, but also when it comes to the tactical stability of that team, when you are playing with no fear, sometimes players will press too much or leave gaps. at the end of the day, the young kids. But one thing I do have to say with Peterborough, and I think it did improve them, is they brought in Liam Kelly, who's obviously a 30-year-old experienced midfielder for the level, who they didn't have last week. And it looks like it did improve them in some way. The average age this week of the squad is significantly higher, so fair play to them, because, last week there was like a 17-year-old on the wing for Edwards. They were like, I think there were Brandon Keller that was in the six, and the team was really, really young. It looks like actually it's improved. But again, though, you look at the average ages, and I think that if this team's what Peterborough play with for the rest of the season, fair enough, fair play. But if there's going to be 17-year-olds and 19-year-olds starting every week, then I think that they are really going to struggle. I think they're going to struggle anyway. I rate Luke Williams, but in my opinion, I think Peterborough probably will struggle come the end of the season. But that's a really, really good win for them over a Mansfield team where I expect them to be in and around the playoffs. They brought in some really, really good signings. Obviously, David McGoldrick from Barnsley, I think he's injured at the minute. Michael Smith, who got his first goal today as well. They've got a decent team. I do like the team. I like Nigel Clough as well. Really experienced manager at this level. And I think they'll be more than fine. This is just a blip in the radar. But I'm really hoping Peterborough don't pick up form for when Wednesday visit in a couple of weeks, because that would not be great. But yeah, Mansfield fans, I won't worry too much about that game. I think you'll be more than fine. Moving on to Stevenage and Oxford, and I've seen a lot of Stevenage fans unhappy with Ravel, Alex Ravel, from this game. I don't know if there was some form of tactical change, or if you could see these two goals come in from a mile off or something. To be fair, it looks pretty even in terms of, again, I don't want to go back to it, but the stats. I didn't watch this game. Again, all I've seen is the highlights, right? So you'll have to let me know if I've got anything wrong. I probably will get things wrong because I can't watch every single game, live. I just can't. So let me know if I have got something wrong in these match review videos. But yeah, it looks pretty even. I saw a lot of Stevenage fans upset with Alex Ravel with this result. Oxford, again, coming back off of a good draw last week against MK Dons, getting an equaliser in the last minute. Come here with some confidence and beat a Stevenage side that got into the playoffs last season. Aaron Ramsey's first win as a head coach, first competitive win in League One. So fair play to him, fair play to him. And Oxford fans, please let me know what you think about Aaron Ramsey so far, because I haven't seen a full game of Oxford, so I don't know how things are going. But it is one that I want. He is a manager that I want to keep my eyes on this season. Moving on to Stockport County 1, Blackpool 2. This is again another result that surprised me. Blackpool, I've said before, I'm not a massive fan of Ian Evatt. I thought he failed at Bolton. But I'm really, really surprised to see them stats. Holy shit. I am seriously surprised to see that ball possession from Blackpool. That is mental, 22%. To be honest with you, I always remember Ian Evatt of being sort of like a Russell Martin style of play, very high possession based and quite boring and lethargic. At least that's what it were at Bolton. Maybe he's changed that now at Blackpool, and if so, maybe I'm being a bit ignorant talking about that. But I wasn't expecting the possession to be that high in terms of Stockport County. That's actually crazy. Jim McNulty obviously got that really good win, and Stockport got that really, really good win last week against Plymouth. Again, probably one of the hardest grounds in the division to win at, if not the hardest. So fair play to them for that. But obviously they were going into this game wanting to get 2 wins from 2. Didn't go ahead and get it in Ian Evatt's Blackpool. The mighty Tangerines have gone and shocked Stockport County at Edgley Park. And, again, Josh Bowler, I've said it before, really good player for this division. Probably Morgan's a good player, I like him. George Honeyman still. Karoy Anderson. They've got Bailey Peacock-Farrell, who was okay for us in League One. So yeah, Blackpool go ahead and shock Stockport County. Fair play. Wigan Athletic 0, Leyton Orient 2, and I really fear for Wigan. I do. I fear for Wigan. I don't think they'll go down, but I know they've been on a downward spiral for the last few years. And Yeah, I think this result proves it. But Leyton Orient, Richie Wellens, I'm sure they'll be really, really happy with this result because the DW is an interesting stadium to go to. I don't know what the attendance were like today, but it's an interesting stadium to go to. And almost if you bring a decent amount of fans, it can again feel like a home game. So yeah, Tony Springett with a goal. And then Hamrich, I think he played against Wednesday last week, and I think he was really, really dangerous. I think so. But they've got a really good double pivot I like. Isaac Hayden and El Mizune. Sorry, I'm actually really suffering here with acid reflux, so that's why I keep nearly dying every speech. But yeah, Isaac Hayden and El Mizune in the double pivot. I really like them too. They was really good last week against Wednesday as well. Probably better than our double pivot that we were playing with, to be fair. And then KB as well, I thought was really lively last week. So yeah, Leyton Orient, that's a great win and a really good way to bounce back against from that loss against Wednesday last week. Wycombe 1, Plymouth Argyle 1. Will Evans has got his first goal for Plymouth Argyle after his move from Mansfield Town in the summer. Wycombe, again, a Michael Duff type performance. They've got themselves back into the game and probably, looking at that, they probably should have won. I don't think it's time to start panicking for Plymouth fans. Again, I think they'll get playoffs and I think they'll do really, really well under Tom Cleverley this season. I just think that you can't really afford to... My biggest problem with Plymouth, and I said it the last time out, was they've sold Laurent Talai for, what, 3-4 million quid. I think Brendan Wiradou's now leaving as well. And they've replaced Laurent Talai with Will Evans, who I think is an okay signing at the level. I think Mansfield Town fans feel like they've had your pants down in terms of Plymouth buying him for £500,000. I also share that opinion. I think that is a pretty hefty sum for someone that's he's okay, he's okay. When you could have gone ahead and got a Michael Smith, for example, or you could have gone ahead and got someone that's really experienced at the level, and I think probably would have scored probably just the same amount, but for cheaper, I think that both teams will be fine come the end of the season, to be honest. I think Wycombe, they won't be anywhere near the relegation zone, and I think Plymouth will get into the playoffs. So yeah, that wraps up League One Round 2. I hope that you've all enjoyed the video. I seem to have gone darker as the video's gone on for some reason. Please, if you are new, leave a like and subscribe because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Again, let me know if I've got anything wrong because I am human. I will get things wrong on this channel. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video and I will see you later. Bye bye.